Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Arm the Populace. I'm your host, Douglas Cooper. With me, as always, is my brother, Charlie G. And today we're excited to be here. Today's topic is cops, robbers, and CCWs. What is their relationship? How do they all play together? And this is a very timely show because unfortunately, the nation just mourned the loss and the senseless death of Robert Goodwin. Here in our own backyard in Cincinnati, there were 6 shootings in the last 24 hours. It's getting ridiculous. And we're not even to summer yet, and summer always brings a spike in crime. So, what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to take a little break from the toys and all of that stuff. And now we just really want to talk to our audience and make the plea to all of you: get legal, be armed, and stay vigilant. Get your concealed carry, carry a gun. It doesn't have to be some big Rambo Desert Eagle with 15 lasers on it. Carry a little Taurus Curve. Carry a little P3AT. Carry a little 38 Snub-Nose Special. But carry something to make sure you get home at night. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to be discussing both some of the incidents that are going on in the news, but also some with people that we know. He will probably be on the show. You've seen him in past episodes. His name's Antoine. He goes by PK. He's a concealed carry holder. He's a gun enthusiast. He goes to the range, and he was almost robbed. Well, he was robbed at gunpoint. Was actually shot in the leg. His CCW saved his life. Another one of the people you see a lot with us, her name's Erica. Sometimes you don't even have to go outside. Willie the crackhead will come to your door, a knocking, wanting to know if you want perk 10s. So we're going to talk about some of the real world applicable situational examples because that's what we try to do in our classes. We don't try to give you information that you don't need because we do have a limited amount of time. We want to try to bring you the stuff that really matters. And I'd say that's one of the differences in an Arm the Populace concealed carry class versus a lot of others. Would you agree, Charlie?
Yeah, I fully agree. I also believe that the difference between us and you may see other CCW classes, I believe we ourselves foster unity.
And I agree completely, but in what respects? Because obviously there's a gun enthusiast unity, there is a CCW unity. I mean, what sort of unity are you referring to?
Dealing with the different races, we have Caucasians, African Americans, Hispanics, a little bit of every race in our class. And they all come together because they all want the same thing: not to get robbed, not to get raped, not to be number 7 or 8 on the notches of this year's murders.
It's very true. It's very true. So let's start with cops, since it's going to be cops, robbers, and CCWs. Let's talk about our police force. Let's talk about the thin blue line. At Arm the Populace, we promote safe, responsible gun ownership and positive law enforcement interaction. Fact of the matter, guns just raise the stakes on everything. So if you're going to carry a gun, you need to get the training so you know the laws, where you can carry, where you can't. What happens if you get stopped by a cop for speeding? Under what conditions can you shoot somebody? All of these things. But you are more likely to have a taillight out or to be speeding than you are to get into a gunfight with a crackhead. So we want to educate our students to handle those real world situations of doing 75 and a 55 and you've got to talk to Officer Bob. But on a bigger scale, police can't be everywhere. Police do not prevent crime. They deter it, but they don't prevent it. It is impossible to assign everybody their own personal police guard that can follow them around. And then you need one for their wife or their husband. Then you need a couple more for their children to get them safely back and forth to school. And so for every family of 4, you've got to have 4 police officers. Who's going to pay for that? You can't do it. You just can't. And since in 10,000 years we can't get our act together as a species, I don't think crime is going anywhere soon. So, what are our options? Because we want to be safe. Like Charlie said, we want to go home at night to our loved ones and eat dinner and watch some Netflix and go to bed. I don't want to get beaten. I don't want to get raped, and I don't want to get robbed, and I don't want to get killed. I just want to go on about my little life and mind my business. So, to stay safe, we either have to do a police state, something like Cold War Russia, where there are cameras on every corner and there's armed guards on every street corner, and you can't breathe, sneeze, fart, scratch your head, whatever, without the government knowing. That's an option. And even there, it doesn't work because there was crime in Cold War Russia. There was crime in Nazi Germany. Yep. There was crime under Saddam Hussein ruled Iraq.
Sure was.
So a police state isn't the answer. What we propose as a solution until we can get our act together collectively as a species, if you want a peaceful society, arm the populace. Notice it's populace, not arm the people. Populace implies there is a difference. The difference being the training. That is the difference between someone who goes through a concealed carry class, applies with the sheriff department, gets fingerprinted, gets their photograph taken, has a background check run on them. Then they are cleared to carry a sidearm to defend themselves and their loved ones. Me just going to the store at 21 without a felony, buying a handgun, putting it in my pants so in case I get robbed, I can defend myself, not enough. You've got to have some training. And I'm a Second Amendment guy. I absolutely believe it is your right to defend yourself. You have a right to not get raped, beaten, or murdered, but you need some training. They don't just hand you a driver's license. Why would we just hand you a gun? The other thing is with police, and this is why, I'll be honest with you, I do not recommend, I did not, nor do I recommend taking a concealed carry class from ex-law enforcement, because unfortunately too many of them still think like law enforcement officers. So they give you their perfect case scenario, which may not even be legal. There is a company in Butler County that is advising their students to have their handgun ready to hand to the officer when they get to their car. That's how you get shot, at the very least a felony, because it's illegal to touch a gun in front of a cop. But I understand where they're coming from. If I was a cop, I would want to know that the gun was right there when I walked up, but it's illegal. You can't do that. On top of that, police are bound by procedures not just to ensure your safety, but the safety of the criminal, right? Concealed carry. Who has you better than you? That's what concealed carry is about. It is taking responsibility for your self-preservation until the police can get there. And in those moments, seconds count. That's less than a second. There is no police department in the world that can beat that response time. Charlie, any thoughts on, because police, I mean, you know, nobody likes cops until you need a cop. That's one of the phrases. But, you know, they do have a tough job. And, you know, like you pointed out, no one is down in Winton Terrace calling the police because the police are down there shooting at kids.
Right. My whole thing about police officer, law enforcement, period. I know they get looked at, especially from, you know, a lot of African Americans, as they're out to, you know, get us or something like that. Me personally, I've had several run-ins with police officers, with my CCW, without my CCW, and to be honest, as long as you're respectful, they're respectful. Now, mind you, yes, we do get a few asshats.
That would be the equation. It's yeah.
Right. We may get an asshat. I've had an asshat before. I handled it civilly.
What is the correct way to interact with police? What do you recommend to a black person in Cincinnati? Because there is the stigma, a DWB. What's a DWB?
Driving while black.
So what do you tell people about dealing with cops?
what I would tell you, advice from Charlie G himself. Keep it civil. You do not have to have this attitude or this, oh, I know that they're going to have some type of racial slur or, hey, boy, or something like that. Keep it civil. 9 times out of 10, it's an expired tag, a light out, you have a tail light out, or you were speeding. Come on, people. I mean, we all speed before. You catch yourself on I-75 and you look down at your speedometer.
Finally got around the barrels.
Right. Flying down the highway and realize, ooh, I'm going a little bit over 85. Why would you think that a cop would immediately be like, hey, there's a black... That doesn't happen in the real world. Keep it civil. That's all. It's really easy.
And disclose.
And disclose, yeah. You have to definitely just follow those rules. Diffuse. Oh, what's the other one?
I mean, if you're for a traffic stop, it's pretty simple.
If anything.
Use your words.
We've had that issue before. You definitely have to use your words.
Which one of the things that we work really hard to do at Arm the Populace as well, in a concealed carry class, is to take this sort of obfuscated language and break it down so that everyone can understand it. So we use little simple phrases that are easy to remember. When it comes to a traffic stop, yeah, we talk about it for a lot longer, but here's what it comes down to. Breathe and try to stay calm. Use your words. Comply, don't die. And whatever you do, don't touch that gun. Now, once you've taken the class, those little phrases are all you need to remember. But hearing them now, what the hell does comply, don't die mean?
Well, comply, don't die. If an officer comes up to your window and asks for your license and registration, I don't think he's asking you to have some attitude back. He wants to know who you are. Is the car registered in your name?
Sir, would you mind stepping out of the car? Sure.
Why, yes. How would you like me to proceed? If you have your CCW, which a lot of you students kind of already know this.
First thing
to do, tell them that you are armed. Use your words. Why, yes. I am a legally armed citizen. I do have my weapon on me. How would you like me to proceed?
Well, Charlie, I appreciate you telling me, but with all the shootings and everything going on, I'd feel better if I held onto your gun. Why don't you hand it to me for this stop?
I would.
What happens if you do? Like if you reach over and hand me the gun, what happens?
If I hand you this, I'm going to jail.
That right there was enough.
Beautiful, lovely silver bracelets on my wrist. Because touching a gun in front of a cop is a felony.
Can I hand it back to you at the end of the stop?
No. We're going to play the hot potato game.
Well, sir, here's your gun back. Where do you want it?
Put it on dashboard. You can place it on my seat. You can put it in the back seat. You can place it in my trunk. You can throw it in the ditch. I cannot touch the gun in front of you.
And that makes it easy to understand. And that's part of our job as concealed carry instructors, to make sure when you leave the class, it wasn't just a bunch of mumbo jumbo and you kind of remember hitting a plate with some type of gun and something about 3 conditions of self-defense, but you can't have, then I failed. We failed.
Yep.
We have failed as your CCW instructor. And though we laugh and joke, and with Willie the Crackhead and with my brothers brandishing and stuff like that to keep you engaged, we know every morning when we hit the door for a concealed carry class, it's life or death time. Because you are trusting us to do a good job, to make sure you can get thumb over thumb, target acquisition, trigger pull, to put Willie on the ground, but how to talk to the cops when they get there. It's 2 halves of the equation. So now let's talk about robbers. We've talked about cops. Let's talk about robbers. I'm going to use robbers in a generic sense. To me, robbers in this context, it's the same thing from the last show when we talked about the wolves, the people that want to hurt the sheep. So robbers in this sense are murderers, rapists, jihadists, Stevie Stevensons, people like that, just people, crazy people. You know, I'm sorry you're crazy. I don't care if it's a chemical imbalance. I don't care if it was a touchy-feely uncle when you were a kid. I don't care if it's because your dog died. I don't care. Now you're crazy and you mean me harm. So if you live through my gunshot wounds to the chest, maybe you can get some psychological help, but I am not going to not go home to my family because your girlfriend dumped you. That is not my problem. So, but here's the problem with robbers. Robbers are opportunistic. They purposely choose incidences, situations, victims where they are likely to meet the least resistance.
Yes, they do.
Part of what we do, being concealed carry instructors, means we study criminal justice. We study criminal psychology to better help our students. Fact of the matter is, in the criminal history, as you go up your food chain, there reaches a point where criminals either have to pick up a weapon to continue their trade, stay where they're at, or change their life entirely. Many at that point, when it comes down to using a weapon, either stay where they're at or get out of life entirely. I'll stay to sticking hubcaps. I'll stay to robbing stores after they close. Once you knowingly take a knife, a gun, something, and leave your home, not with the intention even of killing anyone, but with the intent of threatening for profit, that puts you into a whole different level of criminal, which is why, for all you criminal justice people out there, all the people that watch CSI and all these shows, there is a huge difference between even grand larceny versus armed robbery. Or aggravated robbery, which means they had a weapon. On top of that, they've done studies where they've taken people that are incarcerated for armed robbery, and they've shown them just mugshots of hundreds of people. And these are criminals that, like I said, are incarcerated. They pick 90% of the same people. They go through, I'd mug him, wouldn't mug him. I'd mug him, I'd mug him, wouldn't mug him, mug him, whatever. They can't tell you why. It's because criminals are experts at reading people. So there's something about a person that gives off a victim vibe, if you will, to the criminal. That's what they look for. Now, you have your two classes of criminal. You have the keep it moving criminal, steal your sunglasses out of your car, steal your laptop, break in your home when you're not there. They're not trying to get caught. They're not trying to get in confrontations. They're just trying to keep it moving and make some money. They're a pain, but you know, who hasn't had a hubcap stolen or your car broken into? But then there's the others that go out and are willing to stick a gun in your face because they want that $20 in your wallet. How do you protect yourself against those? What do you do?
Me personally, well, I'd say carry a gun.
What other choice do you have? Because again, we've talked about police. Police can't be everywhere.
Right.
So you have got to take ownership of your self-preservation until the police can get there. Because robbers, for lack of a better term, are predatory, opportunistic hunters, essentially. That's where you because we talk to people all the time. We go to LA Fitness out in Harper's Point, and out there it's amazing the conversations that we have with people about. Well, I live out here in Mason, so I don't really worry about that. I live in a nice suburb. You know, that ain't gonna happen where I live. Wrong place, wrong time. The subway right in Harper's Point, as nice area as you can be. Kid came in, Glock, stuck it in the dude's face, and took the money out of the cash register. Something we've said from jump. Smart criminals go to Westchester and Mason. There's no reason stealing stuff from people in Bond Hill, Winton Terrace, the Fay. We're on the grind too. We're trying to pay some bills. You're not going to get much more out of my house than you are out of yours. You go out to Westchester, Indian Hill, you'll probably get some nice stuff. So really, in a way, living in those nice zip codes makes you more of a target. to the smarter criminal, which kind of is the more dangerous criminal. Um, and that kind of encapsulates the idea of what we want to do. We want to get to people before the awful catalyst happens, before you're raped, before you're robbed, before you're beaten, before you're murdered. We want to give you some training and arm you. One of the things that I thought was interesting when I was a federal agent, I did risk assessment. And just to give you an idea, because some of you watching the show right now are listening to this guy, he's crazy, he's paranoid, that'll never happen to me. Okay. The average 22-year-old waitress working her way through college, female, that gender alone raises your risk assessment. Is it fair? No, but that's the way it is. Criminals prefer women to men. Secondly, your size. It matters. If you're a petite, small woman versus like in my case, a 6'4" behemoth, that matters. Your age matters. You know, if you're 40 years old, you've been around, you've seen some things. You know, a lot of times it's younger people that are targeted because of that naivete. Your occupation, any waitress, salon owner, bartender, DJ, anyone that works in cash, you're at a higher risk. A stick-up kid is way more likely to run into a Subway or a drive-through or something like that than they are to run into a Michael Tires. People don't go in and buy Michael Tires in cash. They put it on credit cards. People go get their nails done, they pay cash. And then even things like the days of the week that you work. You know, if you work on weekends, maybe this part of town is kind of dead on the weekends because it's mostly like factories and companies. What hours of the day you work, all of those things raise your risk assessment. So how do you battle that? And the statistics are overwhelming. This is not something that is going to get better unless we do something. There are more people alive now than have ever died. And every year there are more and more people being born, which means the population centers are going to keep increasing as we live more and more on top of one another. And that proximity brings crime. That's why whenever you look at crime statistics, you have to look at population density as well. Well, of course, Montana's crime rate's way down. They only got 30 people in the state. You take a place like New York, it's entirely different. But you also have to look at the number of people that live there as well. The other, a lot of people have asked us, well, why do you do what you do? And how do you do what you do? And I have my own very Bushido-like codes of belief for why I do what I do. But Charlie, what do you say to the people that ask you, why do you do what you do?
Because I want less of what's happened to me, and that's being robbed, and more of when you leave your home, I feel a lot more safer. Nowadays, there's a lot more people out here that are scared to even walk out their very own door because they're scared of what's going to happen. They stay in bad neighborhoods. And what I want to do is get to those people, just like my brother said, and give you a fighting chance to explain to you what things you can do to protect yourself against those rapists and young Thundercats out there just trying to come up on a quick dime. I want to make sure that these people get home safe just like me. I know I'm not the only person out here that has a family. I want to be able to protect my family. I know people out there want to protect theirs. So I take time to study, research, and use those sources to help other people know what they're getting into. Know what every day, just a split second, your good day can turn bad.
That is all too real. And just to give you an example, of people that we know in the past, well, let's just say in the past year. He couldn't be on the show tonight. He's actually finishing up his degree. Jaron Johnson, he is a member of Arm the Populace. He's one of our coaches. He's a young man. He's in college right now. He's about to get his degree. Didn't grow up around guns. Didn't have a dad who worked for the ATF and shot people. Just it wasn't his life that he grew up in. He came through our class, got his concealed carry, got his everyday carry, was at a friend's house. His friend had a guy that was kind of squatting there. And Jaron, we love him. We call him Baby Bear. He's a little loud. They were watching a game. Jaron started carrying on. This guy said, "Shut up," or something like that. And I'm sure Jaron said something back about, "Well, you don't even live here," whatever. And the guy got mad. So Jaron, being a concealed carry holder, we give up the right to fight to respond with deadly force. Sure Our do. Fighting days are over. So Jaron's like, "Okay, I will hang out with you another time. There's no reason for this to escalate. I'll leave." He was at the door to the apartment getting ready to leave. The guy who's my size comes flying down the hallway with like a flea market katana, intent on separating Jaron's head from his neck. He tried to step back. He tried to leave, but he couldn't. So he drew and he shot the guy in the face. Now, he needed to be at the range probably one more time, and he would have gotten the Delta shot instead of giving the guy the Tommy Two-Face because it was a 40 cal M&P. But the police came. Jaron did not get arrested. He didn't even go downtown because it was so obvious what happened. They brought him his gun back the next day. The guy who attacked him is in jail. If you've watched our shows last year, he was actually on the show talking about it. We're going to have him back. Another member of Arm the Populace. She's been on some of our shows. Her name's Erica. She is probably the most little bittiest, petitest little fairy that ever came through the class. But don't let it fool you. She's got a young son who's in school, and she is a lioness when it comes to her cub.
Sure is.
And she just bought a house recently, and they were there hanging out, and there was a knock at the door. Because if you're on these like bootleg Uber sites where you can get the bootleg Ubers, your weed man will deliver too. And I guess someone had put an address in wrong, and next thing she knows, there is a person knocking at her screen door talking about, "I got those perk 10s you ordered." She's got a 7-year-old son. What if it wasn't a perk delivery guy? That's how Criminal Minds episode starts. Another lady who hopefully will be on the show soon, her name's Miss D. We actually do our women's only classes at her salon. Next to her salon, there's an office building, and I call them kids because they're not kids. They're 18-year-olds, but they're kids. Got up on the roof, and we're throwing rocks down. Well, these rocks are, that big around. Those knock out teeth. Those put out eyes. Throwing rocks at people in cars on Reading Road is not funny. Now, when she told us about this, I said, "Did you draw?" And she's like, "I wanted to." I'm like, "You could have." That is serious bodily harm, having someone throw a rock at you and your customers and people on Reading Road. That rock hits a windshield, the car swerves and slams into 3 other cars carrying families. You can get shot legally for throwing rocks. If they would have thrown a rock at her, she drew. They threw another rock, she could have shot legally. It had been some court, but she would have walked. We have another gentleman that one of the things we always tell our students, if you have to draw your gun, and there is a big difference between drawing and brandishing, which we're going to go ahead and take some studio time to cover. In the real world, and we're going to take some time later on to talk about the Robert Goodwin situation, because it would be irresponsible not to. Because the question we got asked the moment it happened, would a concealed carry and a gun have saved his life? Yes. Yes, it would have, and I'll come back to why later. But one of the things is the first condition of self-defense. You didn't start it. That means you can't have been mean-mugging people or running your mouth or anything like that. You cannot be a first aggressor. You can't shove somebody, punch them, and then claim self-defense. But I will tell you right now, in the real world, if you make me uncomfortable, this is what you get. Look, I'm a legally armed citizen. You're making me very uncomfortable. Please step back so I can leave. Fingers off the trigger, guns pointing down. And what am I doing? I'm asking to leave. So in these situations, though, the moment you're out of harm's way, whether you have to shoot or not, and most of the time you don't have to shoot, a gun deters a lot of crime, call the police on yourself. This is what we encourage our students to do. Report the incident yourself. Hi, My name is Doug Cooper. I'm a concealed carry holder. These gentlemen came up to me. They made me very uncomfortable. I did have to draw my weapon. No shots were fired. If you can, give them a description, because here's all they're going to say. Do you require further assistance? No, I just wanted to tell you what happened. Okay, thank you, because what you don't know is while you were doing this to protect yourself, somebody else looked out a top floor window, saw you pointing a gun at a couple of people, and they called the police. Now the police are looking for you. They're looking for a big white guy with a beard and a t-shirt on with a lion on it. I'm going to call the police and let them know. Hey, I was just approached by two unsavory characters. They made me nervous. They wouldn't just back off and let me leave. I did have to draw my gun and ask them to stay put so I could leave. No shots were fired. They headed west on Galbraith, and I'm heading east, and I just thought you should know. Back to back within 3 weeks, 2 of our students had to draw. In both cases, the situation de-escalated quickly once the guns came out. However, and in both cases, they called the police, reported it, and it was almost kind of like it really did work the way the big guy said it would. The police just asked if we needed more help. But the reason I bring this up is the one lady, her name is Tracy, who had to draw. The gentleman, I guess, the Thundercat, to use my brother's terminology, didn't stop at first. Now, she's drawn her weapon, taken a step back. She's like, she's not going to outrun this kid. He took a step towards her, and she let him know very plainly that she was not playing anymore, that she was really afraid, and he needed to stop coming towards her. She was going to shoot. He hesitated, and so she basically said she was going to blow his genitalia off. Now, I know that's not legal terminology. I understand that. But, and when she posted about this on our Arm the Populace page, there were, of course, some people that got on there that say, hey, you want to keep it short, and you want to speak in legalese and all of that. And yeah, you do. In a perfect world, yes, you want to say every sentence as if it was going to be admissible in court. But don't miss the forest for the tree. Not everyone is looking to get notches on their gun belt. In fact, I would say the majority of our concealed carry students are not trying to go out and shoot somebody. They are not trying to be Billy the Kid and get little notches on their Glock. So, yes, by threatening to blow probably his testicles, I would imagine, off, that was enough to get through his mind, no, this woman's not playing. Now, yes, we never shoot below the waist, I know. But she didn't have to pull a trigger. And the one law that sort of trumps everything is you can never shoot to defend property only. She was no longer in harm's way. She was no longer afraid for her life. The guy left. She didn't have to shoot. The world keeps spinning. She stayed in the really nothing happened zone, which is where she wanted to stay. And now, one of the other things that we stress is when you come through one of our classes, you come out a concealed carry expert. You know the laws, and it matters. We advise a lot of attorney firms here in town on concealed carry cases because they're not experts. Another guy called us up. He was on a date with this lady. They went back to his place. Things went sideways. She started beating him senseless. And no guy wants to know about how he got his ass beat by a girl, but that's exactly what happened because he sent me pictures. But she chased him out of his apartment. He ran out with his gun. She's still coming full bore. Even though we don't do warning shots, he let off a few warning shots to try to break that manic, crazy, whatever that she was in before shooting her. He almost wound up going to jail over it because he wasn't explaining it to the judge properly. He was charged with discharging a firearm inside city limits. That's reckless. That's irresponsible. By the way, all you people that shoot on 4th of July and Independence Day and New Year's Eve and all that, shoot into the ground. If it goes up, it's got to come down. So if you're going to shoot your guns in your backyard, shoot them in the backyard. Don't shoot them up in the sky. But his parking lot was gravel. So if he would have shot down, that's a ricochet. So even though we never do warning shots, he fired off into the air to try to break this woman's craziness before putting the next 5 in her chest. But you got to explain it like that. Because otherwise it looks like you were just out there showing out and you can get hemmed up and go into jail. And these are people that we know. Then you turn on the news and six shootings in the last 24 hours. Heroin is at an all-time epidemic high. There's a bill being passed now to try to get more treatment for that, and that's great. Let's treat the people, let's help the people, but until they get into treatment and try to get help, when you're out there all zoned out on heroin, you're like a walker. It's like Walking Dead. There's no reasoning with you, and you become a threat. And if you're a threat, then you get treated like a threat. You just had a body found by your house today, didn't you?
It was up under the Westwood Boulevard underpass, I believe, or the viaduct. That's actually a good maybe 10 minutes away from me. I'd take that road to take Junior to school.
What do you think about the shootings and the violence? I mean, you live in Western Hills. You see it all the time as well.
I can't believe it. I'm amazed how, just like the gentleman and the whole Stevie situation.
You want to talk about Robert Goodwin now? We need to talk about him.
I'm still a little shocked.
Let's go ahead and we're going to talk about the Robert Goodwin situation because my heart goes out to that man. I've talked to members of his family. That never should have happened. Did you actually see it when it was happening?
Yes, I did.
What were your thoughts? I want to know because I know mine.
I was shocked. I can never put myself in that mind frame of just because I'm mad at something small as a breakup or something like that, because the world is just going to keep happening. That just because I have a breakup or my car shuts down, the world's not going to stop. The world is going to continue to spin. He chose to take somebody else's life. I saw that video. I watched it at least about a good 2-3 times maybe. And you know what, big bro? I was shocked, man. I couldn't believe that gentleman did that. And an innocent man lost his life.
We had come home and we were scrolling through Facebook and it started that live feed. And I'll be honest, the first thing I thought is it's got to be a joke. Like a poor joke, but it's either going to be something about Jesus and Easter and resurrections, or does Walking Dead premiere tonight? Is it going to be a Walker thing and he's going to get up? And if you've ever seen somebody shot or knifed or a traumatic injury where there's massive hemorrhaging, when blood comes out like that, it is red arterial blood. It is still oxygenated, which means when it comes out of the body, the oxygen starts escaping and it bubbles. We froze the frame. I zoomed it in, and I'm like, that blood is bubbling. That is not special effect blood. This nice old man, and by now the video is so redacted that you don't really get it. I got to hear his last 3 or 4 sentences, and there is nothing. I'm a pretty astute judge of character, and I'm not saying he was a saint. That isn't it at all. But I'm saying nothing about him struck me that he was a bad dude. Right. He was a nice old man coming home. And, you know, we're trained, we start picking out details, things like that. The Save-A-Lot bag. Everybody goes to the grocery store. Everybody. I don't care. Michael Jordan goes to the grocery store. Everybody goes to the grocery store. So you had to run out and get a gravy packet for your wife to make some more gravy, or some cranberry sauce, or something for Easter dinner. We all go to the grocery store.
Yep.
And the guy comes up, Stevie. He asked the man his name. He asked him how old he was. He told him. And then he said, say Joy Lane. And at this point now, the Robert Goodwin's getting a little uncomfortable. And he's like, I don't think I know her. And he's like, say Joy Lane. And he pulls the gun out. And at this point, Robert wants to get away, but he can't. And Steve makes a comment, she's the reason this is happening to you. Bang, and pulls the trigger and gets back in his car and then starts jibber-jabbering on Facebook time. Could a concealed carry and an everyday carry have saved his life? I'm going to present my argument and say yes, because first of all, when I'm walking, situational awareness, be aware. And one of the things that I tell people is getting a concealed carry allows you to be nice and it allows you to stay calm.
Yep.
There are several times I will walk with my hand on my gun. And, you know, I get the people that come up to me at the bodega, hey, can I get some change? Hey, can I get a cigarette? Okay, my hand's on my gun. I can see what you want. Because I know if you ate a handful of bath salts and try to gnaw my face off, I can shoot you. So I can see, what do you want? Hey, can I get 50 cents so I can catch the bus? Yeah, sure, here you go. But if you make me uncomfortable, you can get my little speech. So I'm going to argue, walking home with his Save-A-Lot bag, Robert could have easily had his hand on his gun. When Stevie approached him, The moment it starts seeming squirrely, I can shoot my little 38 special from inside my pocket. I don't even have to produce it. At that point, my finger's going on the trigger. The moment Stevie started to do this, before the gun was ever pointed at me, I'm dumping into him. He is getting all of them, if not 4 in the stomach and 1 in the top of the head, the moment I see a gun even start to appear. Maybe his reflexes wouldn't have allowed it. I don't know. But I wish to hell I could have gotten there. I wish I could have done something. Which also brings us, when we take an ATP class, we talk about defense of others. The big thing about defense of others is know the whole story. Because you come around the corner and you see me punch my little brother.
What?
In the face.
In the face?
You're like, oh my God, I'm going to shoot that Sasquatch. He's attacking that nice guy. But what you didn't see was 2 seconds before that, he almost took my head off with a broken bottle. I was defending myself. I don't know the whole story. So we tell people, marry your gun and phone together. But all I know is I don't want to see people get punched again. I'll draw on you both. Get your asses on the ground until the police come. So had I been driving by and seen Stevie pull a gun on that nice little man, there is nothing in my mitochondria that tells me that little old man is a threat. One hand has a Save-A-Lot bag, the other hand's empty, big dude with a gun pointed at him. I'd have hit him with my truck if I couldn't have gotten a shot off. Charlie?
Amen to that. I saw that video. I was infuriated that this gentleman felt the need to pick a senior citizen walking down the street looking like he just came from the grocery store, and just because you had a breakup, he needs to die. I don't see how those two connect. I don't understand that.
Hey, we're on Facebook. If y'all the Stevies out there, we're on Facebook.
Right. I mean, please come to Cincinnati. Please do. Please come and tell me to say some person's name, because I'm definitely going to be what are you doing?
And, you know, and we joke about it, but it was a tragedy. And even though I never met him, that image of him, of Robert Goodwin, is burned into my mind. And I'll be honest with you, I'm always honest with my students, my audience. I put his picture up, and because everyone's talking about how sad it is. And yes, it is sad. He was a sweet old man. But instead of just mourning him, honor him. Go get your concealed carry permit. Don't be the next Robert Goodwin. Don't be the next rape victim. Don't be the next robbery victim. It's actually his great niece call me because she was uncomfortable. She's like, you're putting up his picture. This is really fresh in our minds. And I was, I'm sympathetic to that. I am. However, to me, that picture of Robert Goodwin moments before he was shot in the face by Stevie is sort of like the 9/11 towers. It is now part of American iconography. And much like remember the Alamo, remember Pearl Harbor, remember Robert Goodwin needs to be the concealed carry holder battle cry right now. Because he is the epitome of just wrong place, wrong time. Now, much like my brother Charlie was saying, I wonder if I was walking down that road, if Stevie would have picked me, if he would have picked Charlie, if he would have picked Jaron or some of the other members of Arm the Populace, or if he targeted Robert because he's a senior citizen. He wasn't a big guy.
Nope.
There's nothing about his countenance that said he was looking for trouble, like maybe back in the day he was bad Leroy Brown with a straight razor in his shoe. He looked like a nice old guy going home on Easter. And that's when the wolves come. So, the other thing with Arm the Populace, which is funny, people are like, well, how do I join Arm the Populace? First, get your concealed carry. That's a good start. But Arm the Populace, we kind of joke, it's a lifestyle. And I understand everyone out there is not trying to get 100 warriors strong. You just want your everyday carry so you can go on about your life as a dental assistant and not worry about getting raped, robbed, or beaten. I get it. But for those who want a little more, think about defensive living. And I'm not talking about having a compound out in the middle of Colorado with a bunch of sea rations and water purifiers. Teach your kids how to open a door properly. What information to give out over the phone. Do you have an RFID blocker in your wallet so you don't get your credit card information stolen? Think about these things. But the problem is, and I'll tell you firsthand, you can't put it back in the box. Once you start realizing that we are never really truly safe, we're not. We could get hit by a meteorite right now in the studio. Me and Charlie sitting here, bam, who knew? A Russian satellite fell out of orbit and came crashing through.
Oh.
Didn't see that one coming. But taking out things like that, you can make a difference in what your risk assessment is. Don't park far away. Don't take dimly lit stairwells. If you're not on empty, don't go to the bodega where you know they shoot dice and it's 1 o'clock in the morning and there's probably some riffraff there. Just go to a different gas station. Don't put yourself in harm's way. We constantly talk about, besides an everyday carry, all of the things that you can carry besides a gun. They're here in my trusty boonie hat that you always see, but the ubiquitous monkey fist, a neck knife, a tactical pin, a folding knife, or as I call it, my big honking knife. One of my personal favorites, a good tactical flashlight.
Wow, that's bright.
Yeah, it really is. And that's a first strike weapon. Ladies, go back to the 50s. Carry a rape whistle. That's loud as hell. That will get people's attention. That's the reason they tell you, don't yell rape or murder or help. Yell fire, because people will come for that. Know your surroundings. Get to know your neighbors. Know which cars belong on your street and which ones don't. Be your own eyes and ears. And if something looks sketch, avoid it. Part of being a concealed carry holder, it really does. It means that not only do we not fight, we try to not put ourselves in a situation. The idea of getting a concealed carry permit isn't, okay, well now I can go down and act a fool wherever I want because I got this gun on me. I carry this gun on me as one more step of precaution to make it home at the end of the day to my loved ones and my family. What do you, if you don't mind, because you've got the girl and the kid, kind of the modern American nuclear family with a dog and all that stuff. What are some of the things you do around your house for defensive living, so to speak?
I teach Junior how to kind of keep an eye out. Just because he's a kid doesn't mean that he can't be vigilant of the area, his surroundings, because sometimes I let him go down to the little park that we have in our apartment complex. He goes down there, plays around. He knows the rules. Do not talk to strangers. If someone comes up and try to offer you anything, it's definitely a no. And immediately yell stranger danger or whatever you can to cause attention to where you are. If there's people around, they'll come. And if you get back to the house, get back to the house. Your mom and dad is definitely there to protect you. My girlfriend, she's going to have her CCW here soon. What she's going to be carrying, a nice little 38. She's a waitress. That means if she leaves work or something like that, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm not there, I can't be everywhere all the time.
She is her backup.
She is her very own backup. He's right. You have to be your own backup.
I think that's exactly it. Be your own. Who's got you better than you, right? I guess, and kind of wrapping this up, because we are going to try to get you some range footage. I know you're dying. We're dying too. But there was too much stuff in the news going on, and because of the Robert Goodwin situation, that we just had to take this show. And we're actually dedicating it to Robert Goodwin and all of the Robert Goodwins out there. Those innocent people that were just in the wrong place at the wrong time without the means to defend themselves. And that's why when we started doing this, we decided we would offer the most affordable class out there, period. We would give you, though, the best training because we are trying to help you save your life. Now, because things like the Robert Goodwin situation, because any 30-minute local newscast has 4 or 5 little tragedies in there. Baby mauled over in Elmwood by a pit bull. Yes, you could shoot a pit bull if it was mauling a child. The murder rates are at an all-time high. Things like that. We are almost evangelical about spreading the word. If you've been to one of our classes, you've seen in our post, spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Get it out there. And Unfortunately, such is life. No matter how positive what you're trying to do is, you're always going to get haters.
Haters.
Now, I would love to discuss what we do with some of our haters, but because I'm gonna try to take the tie road here. I'm gonna turn that over to my brother. Um, but the other thing we're gonna be doing with the show as we get closer, it's the road to November. November is going to be a huge month for Arm the Populace because November means NRA headquarters, it means the academy, and it means when I come back, yours truly will be able to train instructors. Arm the Populace will be opening up locations in Dayton, Columbus, Cleveland, Toledo, because we have a system that works. There's a reason Hamilton County Sheriff's Department recommend us. There's a reason Blue Ash, Mason, all of these places recommend us. And as we get closer to it, my brother Charlie is going to be one as well. We're going to be kind of doing the leading up to November and opening up Arm the Populace, and with the federalization of the concealed carry permit, Ohio, Florida, and non-resident Florida will be the only ones worth a damn. All your other ones are going to have to go take the class again because they haven't required enough training. So that's an exciting thing. But like I said, no matter how positive, no matter how much you're trying to help people, you always get naysayers. What do you say to our naysayers, Charlie?
Here's my thing. How can you hate on people doing something positive? What people out here doing, robbing, stealing, ain't that something that we want to stop? I believe Arm the Populace, that's what we're about. We're trying to give you a chance to protect yourself. For those who are scared of guns, we have people that come to classes every weekend like, oh, this is my first time touching a gun or even dealing with a gun because I was scared. They've been robbed before or something like that. Sometimes there is a backstory to the reason why they're afraid. But to the haters out there, what you're doing
down the ride
is,
and the home security.
for these down the ride and home security folks,
CCW people.
all I have to say is, why hate on us doing something positive? We should honestly be on the same teams. Like, hey, let's get out here and arm everybody
together.
Right, let's do a tactical class. Let's help spread the word together. I mean, I've heard some of their
You've gotten into it with a few of them.
Yeah, I've gotten into it over, social media and stuff. And truthfully, I found out that Charlie G isn't black enough. So
because of the black-owned thing?
Yeah, the whole black-owned thing.
Isn't that your arm on the shirt right there? I'm pretty sure.
What? That's crazy. And it's that one. Because it's negative. It's white, and my brother's arm is black. Isn't that something? I'm a little shocked on that. I mean, to see us two together, I would believe that if you come to a class like that and you see two gentlemen of two different races talking about that they're brothers by choice, I say, hey, yeah, go talk to my brother Doug about something. Oh, go talk to my sister Beth about something. And they're looking around looking for another black person. No, everybody in the class knows exactly who the lava-head lady sitting in the back with a long, pretty red hair, my sister Beth. Everyone knows, go talk to the big giant bear guy right over there, the Sasquatch.
That'd be me.
All of us here in Arm the Populace have the same mission attitude, the same mission statement. We want to help. So if you're going to hate on us, please continue to hate. Because what's going to happen is your clientele will soon be Arm the Populace.
And you're absolutely right. This is where we should be coming together. Why on earth are we looking for more reasons to divide? And this goes back to our basic mission statements. Get legal, meaning get some training and get your concealed carry permit. Be armed, meaning have your everyday carry, and stay vigilant. We at Arm the Populace promote safe, responsible gun ownership, positive law enforcement interaction. You may still get a ticket for doing 75 and a 55, but you're not going to get shot or go to jail. The officer will be comfortable. You just got to pay your fine because you were speeding. And lastly, we at Arm the Populace do not care about the color of one's skin.
Not at all.
We do not care whom you choose to love.
No.
We do not care what invisible entity in the sky you pray to. You are either part of the problem or part of the solution. And at Arm the Populace, we are all about being part of the solution.
Amen to that.
See you next month. We're with Arm the Populace, and I'm out here at my home away from home, Blazing Bullet Shooting Range. And just because I know you like the gun stuff, we couldn't do a show without it. So we've got some concealed carry students, we've got some of our instructors out here, and we're just going to do a little shooting for you because ultimately guns are fun. They have a lot of other purposes, but they're fun. This is Ron. He is using a Ruger 1022, and he's going to be plinking 5-hour energy bottles out in the puddle. Ron, take it away when you're ready. There you go. Watch it fly. There you go. And this is why I like coming to outdoor ranges. Shooting paper's fun, but there's nothing like watching stuff jump. There you go. Nice. Like World War II sub hunters. Well, you're a Navy guy, so, you know, sinking enemy boats comes second nature, right? There we go. Nice. And just watch them dance. Keep going till it clicks. And again, not an expensive rifle, and you're empty, but on something, isn't that fun? Very affordable. It's a Ruger 1022, just an average deer scope you can get at Walmart. Shoots the 22 rounds, so it's affordable to shoot, but it works on your accuracy. Thank you very much for shooting with us today. And it's a pleasure. Are you part of Arm the Populace?
I am now.
All right. There you go.
Something that's gonna move.
A lot less recoil with the AR-15 than with the 760 round. Yeah, just a little high. There you go. There you go. A little high. Come on, man. We need a rabbit in the pocket. Let her rip. Nice. Charlie spent the last year getting his AR skills on point. As you can see, he puts on quite a show for folks. There we go. We love the fireworks. Make it rain. Make it rain. There you go. There you go. Roll that beautiful bean footage. I don't think you've missed one yet. There you go. This is Doug Cooper. We're out here with Arm the Populace. We'll be back out here again next month. We've got some more stuff to bring out. We're going to be shooting a PSL, a PMR 30, and we're going to be doing some of our more advanced stuff. We're getting ready to do a class on that probably the end of June. Until then, I'll see you at the range. Get legal, be armed, stay vigilant. This is Doug. Biz.
Biz Truth.
Charlie G in the background.
Yeah.
Out here at our home away from home. And of course our ATP mascot. We've got Junior out here because you can't start your kids too young. Love you all. Stay safe. See you soon.